Now, San has a question for all of you. Right now, do you bitterly resent anyone? Do you feel like they're your enemy and you need to get revenge? Take 3 seconds to think. What name popped into your head? Honestly, San hopes the answer is no one. I don't hate anyone. That's a wonderful attitude, everyone, because hatred only makes us more tired. You know how the US and China openly despise each other now? You see the tension has increased by over 100%, and that's a huge issue, you know? Over 100% means they've practically stopped importing goods from each other. And San thinks there's a risk of even bigger things to come. But today, we're not going to delve into that war. Instead, we'll talk about the war within yourselves. Have you ever thought about all the people who hurt you, but with a sense of calm, lightness, or even gratitude? Welcome to the next episode of San's podcast, episode 86. San remembers back when she broke up with her first love, what she did was block his Facebook. Looking back now, it feels a bit foolish. Later, San would create a new Facebook account. Every breakup meant creating a new Facebook account and never using the old one again. That's what I did if I didn't want to block or unfriend someone. Back then, I thought I was cool, but later I realized it was like running away or even an act of revenge, you know. Many people, when they break up, start unfollowing each other, right? Setting Instagram to private like, oh, I don't want to follow you anymore, and I don't want you to see me anymore. Of course, if you simply feel that you want someone completely out of your life so you can focus on your own, that's fine. But that action actually shows that you care about them a lot, so much so that you don't want to see them. If you didn't care much, their presence or absence wouldn't matter much to you. So let's share about a common issue with old relationships once they've ended. How to keep them from being toxic, how to prevent that feeling of wanting revenge. A healthy person will be healthy before, during, and even after a relationship. And that's why sometimes, by observing how someone exits your life, you can understand just how much inner health they possess. Many people, when they break up, send sincere thank you notes. San once had a junior colleague who worked for her around 2021, quite a while ago. After some time, she moved to a new company because she had just graduated and wanted a larger environment. San's company was quite small, so San was happy for her. And to this day, we still keep in touch. We meet up occasionally when we have time. Of course, we're not so free that we can meet all the time, but every time we do, it feels very warm and affectionate. Even though, during our working relationship, we definitely had many issues to resolve. Work is never always smooth sailing, you know. But I'm still very happy because even now, when she visits me, she still remembers my favorite cake. It's a specialty from Than Hoa called Ban Rang Bua. And that's a gift from her mother, who I also know. So her parents occasionally send me gifts like that, which makes San very happy. You know, some relationships end, but we don't necessarily have to hate each other, feel annoyed, or pretend they never existed. Throughout San's growth and development, both personally and in various companies, there have been quite a few different friends, and honestly, to this day, some are no longer in contact. Some are still on my friends list but never message each other. But gradually, everything just fades away with time, you know. Meaning, the people who can grow with you will walk alongside you and you might meet them frequently. As for those who can no longer grow together, will communicate and meet less often, and eventually, things will just fade. And actually, whether we block each other or not, it's not important. If their image still lingers in our minds, if we're still thinking about them and wondering, how can I get my revenge? Or how can I gloat? Then that's a very toxic energy, everyone. Can we turn every broken relationship into that of strangers? It's hard because we once knew each other, so how can we truly be strangers, right? So, for relationships like that, San often labels them as not friends, but not enemies either. A relationship where you just know each other, so you can still greet and smile at each other if you meet on the street. It's as simple as that. When I first broke up with my ex and after some time, I saw him go public with someone new, posting pictures online. How did I feel then? I felt a little sad. But at the same time, I also felt happy that he had found someone new. Later, gradually, as time went on, I found my own happiness, and I felt an even stronger desire to wish well for my ex-partners. I realized that when we are healthy, when we are happy, we wish good things for others. That's a sign of true happiness within you. But if we still feel like, oh, I want revenge, they were so terrible to me. Occasionally, we post stories to subtly mock or badmouth our exes, claiming to be the victim or believing ourselves to be magnanimous. then generally we are being toxic and we might not even realize it. It's only when we can genuinely wish well for those who are no longer by our side. For old friends, ex-lovers, people we no longer feel compatible with, that's when we are truly healthy. People will tell San, "Oh, I feel that's so fake. Clearly, an ex must be something utterly terrible." San doesn't think so. Personally, I'm not friends with my exes, but I don't hate them. The other day, when I was scrolling through TikTok, San saw the trend covering Rose's line, "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the..." And then people on TikTok made a trend out of it. And when they mentioned they'd show a pile of trash. San feels that action shows contempt for yourself. Because that was someone you once loved. You chose that person to love, and now you're saying they're a pile of trash? That's just slapping yourself in the face. Maybe we think that's cool. We think, "Oh, let the whole world know how terrible my ex was." But it's also one of the ways we expose our own foolishness and the ugliness within ourselves. Don't you think so? Everyone has good points and bad points. When we were together, things might not have been harmonious. But we also had incredibly happy, wonderful days together. We humans tend to only remember the most recent things, meaning the most recent painful things. We convince ourselves that this relationship was toxic from the very beginning. We deceive ourselves into thinking that all the good things before were fake. Because in the end, we weren't happy together, were we? Whenever they ask me about my exes, and after I recount the stories, they all wonder, "My goodness, why do you tell it like a fairy tale, such a beautiful love story, then why did you break up?" People break up, usually, because they've fallen out of love, everyone. Whatever the reason, that's what it ultimately comes down to. And generally, when I recall my exes, I tend to remember their good qualities. It's not about regret, it's simply that San sees that they truly have good things about them. Of course, there were also not-so-good things, but San feels that since we're no longer together, what's the point of dwelling on their flaws? If there's a pleasant story to tell, I'll just talk about the good things. But in reality, I certainly must have felt something wasn't right to break up, right? Not right. Here could mean we weren't compatible with each other, or not compatible with me. But that doesn't mean they are bad people. They might be compatible with others, and they also have a future life that suits them. And especially, I don't dedicate much energy to things that are old. I only experienced profound sadness once, the very first time I fell in love. I was sad for quite a while, for several months, and lost several kilograms. I've never been overly sad about anyone since, because I believe a very important aspect of growing up is emotional maturity. It's not about being hardened or overly in pain. I understand the pain of a relationship ending and having to leave, and at the same time, I understand my responsibility to myself to not cling, not regret, and to let things go. Just accept it, because life is all about change. And wonderfully, I just focus on self-development. And when you focus on developing yourself, you will always meet new people, people who are much, much more wonderful. And at this moment, when San looks back at the relationships around her, both with friends and in work, San always feels that the people who come into her life later are always much more compatible. And San herself has also improved over time, because every relationship teaches us something. And think about it, if we only focus on blaming others, if we don't see our own mistakes, then we can't develop and get better. We won't achieve emotional maturity, and it will just be a loop. A loop where you always meet the same kind of people, and relationships always end the same way because you haven't changed. So every time a relationship ends, San chooses to reflect more on herself. How should I change? How should I share and communicate? How can I understand others more? How can I understand myself more? Overall, with every relationship, San always learns how to upgrade herself, especially her emotional intelligence. And you know what? All these things San shares from the bottom of her heart. I truly always wish everyone the best, whether that person hates me or likes me. I also once shared on one of San's YouTube videos, "You can hate me, but never hate yourself." Like, never ignore or disregard yourself and keep striving and trying. Because when San shares things related to self-development on the San Hyen YouTube channel, some people get annoyed by it and call me fake or say I read too many books and just parrot what's in them. San thinks that's fine. Some people resonate with it and understand, while others don't. But ultimately, San still hopes that when people seek out such self-development content, they can find inspiring individuals, other YouTubers who can motivate them even more. As for me, I'm just an ordinary person. I can only inspire those who resonate with me. It's impossible for everyone to love and cherish San, right? That's perfectly fine. And San believes that in this life, we'll still get to meet again. It's a circle. For example, recently, San had the chance to meet an old friend, and strangely enough, that old friend was also a friend of an ex of mine who I also had a slight crush on. San remembers that friend invited me out, but I refused. Because they had a crush on me, but I didn't have a crush on them. I didn't want to give someone false hope when I didn't like them, so I wouldn't agree to go out alone with them. And after that, they just blocked me, didn't bother to text or anything anymore. They just ended the relationship like that. It was like, if I can't have it, nobody can. San actually forgot about them. Until later, when I met a mutual friend. Because that mutual friend had heard the other friend talk about me, they suggested, hey, why don't we all meet up? So this mutual friend invited the other friend, but that person didn't agree. San thinks perhaps they felt awkward or ashamed to meet me. San doesn't know. But it's clear that it's a small world. We can totally meet again at some unknown occasion. And San thinks that now, even if I meet any ex, I still feel normal, I'd still want to meet them. Even chatting a bit is fine. I don't harbor any negative feelings towards them. If there's anything I regret, San regrets a relationship where she feels she didn't clearly communicate her feelings. He and I had a few dates, and after that, he wanted more. He tried to text me, but I stayed silent and didn't reply. I know I was very wrong because it's like giving someone the silent treatment. But honestly, at that moment, I was also wondering what I should say. But I really should have texted him more clearly, something like, I don't think this is the right time, or I don't really have feelings for you. But he hadn't actually confessed his feelings or anything, so how could I say those things, everyone? I could only refuse to go out. In reality, San thinks that before we end relationships, we should clearly express our feelings, then everything will be much lighter afterward. If we keep it bottled up inside, generally, one day, even if we want to say it, we won't be able to anymore. It'll be too late, and sometimes it won't even matter to say it in the end. After this podcast episode, I hope that for everyone, whether it's the people who have been by your side or those you once loved deeply, we can all reflect on our current emotions and learn how to transform that hatred into a sense of peace, no longer being too bothered by them. Not friends, but not enemies either. We no longer love each other, but we don't hate each other either. And if you can achieve that, you'll feel much lighter by focusing on yourself and making everything better each day. That's it.